terms of just getting more reaction. We will, of course, return to our senior reporter, Samkele Maseko, there as we continue with our breaking news story. Former Deputy President David Mabuza has died. Of course, Deputy President David Mabuza was born at Phola Trust in the Mpumalanga province on the 25th of August 1960. He obtained a Bachelor of Arts Degree in Psychology from the University of South Africa in 1989, following his achievement of a National Teacher Certificate from Mgwenya College of Education in 1985. Of course, being born on the 25th of August 1960, he would have turned 65 this year. That is, in fact, next month. I am still joined by our politics editor, Mzwandile Mbeje, from the SABC here in studio. Mzwandile, of course, just having looked at some of his responsibilities, as deputy president, but also as a member of, a key member, in fact, of the ANC. I want us just to look at some of the responsibilities he held between 2019 and 2024. He was tasked by President Ramaphosa with several delegated responsibilities, many of which were to really essentially assist him. Leader of a government business in Parliament, leading government efforts to fast-track land reform and the coordination of government programs to accelerate land reform and agricultural support. I mean, the land issue, still a problematic issue, still a sensitive issue in today's times. But just speak to us about, just some of those responsibilities then that he did hold between that period.
Yeah, in fact, even before his responsibilities as the second in command, he was one of the strongmen of Mpumalanga, having served there for quite a number of times. In fact, even if you look at how his elevation came, you remember the famous Premier League moving towards Nasrec, because they had played a particular role in terms of the politics of the ANC. And I think at the realization, maybe by him and others, that their role, perhaps, I think he even said this on a few occasions, to say even his role perhaps may not have been helpful in terms of the unity of the ANC. Yeah. I think that's why then you saw that attempt to try and then forge that kind of unity. I mean, in Mpumalanga, as much as he was a strong man there, so before he got elevated to the second most senior position in government, so there was quite a lot that was really said about him. So how he conducted himself, how he dealt with political opponents. So those are part of the legacies of the man. But of course, as you've said, and then he went on to become the deputy president of the ANC, and therefore becoming the deputy president of the country. But even then, you'd remember that at some point, I think, whilst he was in position, so he would be given some time off to go, I think, to Russia, to look after himself in terms of taking care of his medical situation. So clearly, he'd been suffering at some point, but we thought perhaps it had gone, but we don't know whether this is related to what has happened. So he then assisted the president in terms of championing all those issues that you've spoken about. Yeah. So clearly, with the political dynamics taking their own shape, and then he didn't make it in 2022. So clearly, which also in many people's eyes, because when we speak about the Premier League and the chairpersons, so some people said perhaps there was some sort of disagreement in terms of the arrangement of how they were going to contest power. And then you saw his erstwhile friend, Paul Mashatile, now take the position. So those are all things that in the coming days we'll be unpacking in terms of how did it all end, how the journey proceeded, and where did it all start.
I want to just go back to the time when he did step down as MP, which ultimately ended his term as deputy president of the country. At the time, of course, just some of the words that President Cyril Ramaphosa extended to him, saying that, you know, the Deputy President has undertaken the responsibilities of his office with dedication. I'm grateful for the support he provided to me throughout his term and for the leadership he has provided to the work of government. His contribution has been valued by the many constituencies with which he has engaged, including traditional leaders, military veterans, civil society formations, as well as international bodies. How likely or how can we expect the presidency you know, to announce this particular passing of the Deputy President? We haven't, of course, had an official a statement from the presidency as well as from the ANC. I would imagine the next coming days would be, you know, filled with the reaction from both the ANC, of course, as well as government.
Obviously, we expect the statement from the presidency detailing all those achievements, and then from his own party as well, we expect the statement which is going to speak about the type of the leader, the type of a comrade he was, because as much as there were certain things that he may not have been happy about, but this is someone who was able to follow the party line right to the end. I mean, even when he relinquished the position of Deputy President, not that it's something that he liked, but he knew that in terms of the party, that's what needed to happen. So that is what we can expect. I mean, from the President, you'd recall when he issued that statement when he left. So you expect something similar to be said again, to say here it was someone who was dedicated to this country, who joined the struggle at a very early age and then pushed it throughout. And of course the ANC, it's a great loss, particularly because it's really, the ANC at the moment is at its weakest. Never before had the party reached 40% in terms of the electorate. So clearly, at this stage, you needed everyone to come on board, and then to lose people who perhaps can help you with the direction or the renewal that has been spoken about, and then you lose those people who may in the process have institutional memory, would be something I think the ANC will be very sad about.
Absolutely.